of what valuable means to me is, or my interpretation of it is, if you take that person out of that team is not good, or that team won't win as much as they would if he was part of the team. So
So do you think the MVP should go to the player with the highest wins above replacement ranking?
I'm curious who that is before I say yes to that.
I don't actually know, but based on what you just said, that was kind of what you were leading towards. But keep going.
I honestly feel like it should just be retitled to the best player award. But yes, if it's to the definition of what I believe a most valuable player is, it's somebody who, if they're not there, their team is not as good, and so they need him to be good. And the Warriors have shown that without Curry, they can still get the job done, and they have beat elite teams.
I want to stop you right there, and I want to pose a different value definition to you.
Okay.
What if, and I agree, this should be renamed the most outstanding player. It's silly to call it the MVP. But when we talk about value, what about the fact that Curry's contract is the biggest bargain in the NBA? He is making like half of what LeBron is making. So
right.
Does that make him more valuable? Because in some ways, you got this guy that shattered every offensive record under the sun, and he's like the fifth best paid player on his team. So not only is he going out there and being outstanding, but he did it in such a way that gave you so much cap space. You put all these great pieces around him.
Now, I see where you're going with that. To me, I don't like to look at the monetary value of an MVP.
Well, I'm not saying that's a definition. I'm just throwing it out as like like part of a concept.
Part of a concept. I like to stick mainly on the basketball court, because contracts are contracts, and people take like we just talked about David West, right? Would David West be a most valuable player, contention player, based on what he took because of his monetary value?
It's not entirely about contract. I'm not saying go find the guys with like the cheapest contracts and pick the best.
But do you think that if he played outstanding and his value of based on a contract, do you now throw him into the contention of in a possible nominee?
I mean, look, I don't throw him into the MVP conversation, but once you have your tiny subset of 6 or 7 MVP candidates,
you look category,
right? Then, like, is that like the straw that breaks the camel's back? Like, is that something else to consider? I'm not necessarily saying it is. I'm just throwing it out there because I do think that the quote value aspect, that has a lot to do with it, because these guys that, Curry didn't take a cheap contract so they could put a better team around him. I mean, he took a cheap contract because he looked like he had the worst ankles in the NBA, and this was the best contract he could get 3 years ago, and expect this guy to get paid handsomely the summer after this one when he hits the market again.
Absolutely.
But I feel like that is part of, the value conversation. I definitely agree that this should be renamed. I also think the most improved, that should be renamed to the breakout player of the year.
Yeah,
The fact that the first unanimous MVP, Steph Curry, finished 4th place for most improved is insane to me. And I'm not saying he didn't improve, but that's ridiculous. So I think half of these awards need to be renamed. I think for me, the fact that he was the first ever unanimous MVP is the part that's a little, I don't know what the word is. I mean, I'm not saying he didn't deserve it. He absolutely deserved the award. But did he deserve to be the first ever unanimous MVP when guys like Michael Jordan and LeBron James and guys that also had crazy outstanding seasons didn't get it unanimously? And the part that I feel like, I don't know when this became like the tradition, but the ballots are released publicly. So you can go on the NBA's website and you can look at every single one of the 130 people that voted and see who they voted for. So I like that it's public, okay? It puts accountability on it. I like going and looking and seeing like all the sports writers that I like, seeing who they voted for. But I also worry that the fact that the conversation for months has been, is Curry going to be the first ever unanimous MVP? Like, is it possible that one of those 130 people kind of wanted to vote for Kawhi Leonard or kind of wanted to vote for LeBron James, but didn't want to be the name on the ballot that didn't do it? Like, did we get groupthink because of that?
All right. Well, you touched on so many things that I have to remember if I can address all of them.
Okay.
So I'll try and do my best if I forgot a couple of things. What I do want to say though is that I'm more interested in what our fans have to think about this. So please tweet us at MI83 Network on Twitter and let us know what you think about this unanimous decision on Curry. But to what you said, I think we've talked about this in previous pods, if not definitely off the pod, because I'm not a big fan of the fact that the media are the ones who dictate who wins these awards. I feel that in the beginning of the year, they find a subgroup of individuals who they want to play the narrative to, who can win the MVP. And as long as those individuals stay healthy and stay consistent with their gameplay, they can ride that out throughout the entire season. Now, do I think that Curry deserves to be a unanimous vote? I don't know. I can't say yes or no to that only because to compare it to previous eras and even the LeBron era, if we're still in it or somewhat surpassing it,
Tailing it.
tailing it, it's such a different era. Like, Michael Jordan played during a time when I would say the top 50 greatest of all time players, he played with more than a handful of them during that era. So it's in this particular
So wait,
NBA,
are you saying we have more or less great players now?
I think there's less great players right now that would stand the test of time. If you look at the entire NBA history, and I'm not trying to go on a tangent here because I'm trying to keep all my points in a very
Yeah.
concise way, so don't bring this
Yeah.
down a road. You look at what's written right now and who are the top 50, top 100 players of all time. Michael Jordan has played in his era with some of those top players who've already been defined as the top 50 players currently speaking. So there was a
Yeah,
lot.
but I think there are current players that will break the top 50, but maybe they haven't yet because they don't have the body of work yet because they're, only a third of the way into their career, halfway into their career. Like,
Maybe,
I think
but
there are
but
some
they but
incredible
Jordan
players right now.
but Jordan played through a lot of their prime. So whether
Yeah.
it was whether it was still Isaiah Thomas's prime when
But
he was
I
when
mean,
he was playing
isn't
against him.
LeBron in that boat? Like, I mean, the 15 years he's been in the league, hasn't he played through a lot of superstars like Tim Duncan and Kobe Bryant and Dirk? And I mean, these guys are destined for the Hall of Fame. And I'm not even getting into like the
My
Kevin
point
Durant's yet.
my
Yeah.
my point is that that's why he wasn't a unanimous decision. That's why that's
I think
why
Curry had some pretty stiff competition.
I think so, but where so now going into the other topics that you just kind of talked about, Curry can get a unanimous decision based on how the narrative of the media has spun the entire Warriors season. I mean, we talked about it too. Not only did they just break the season record of 72-10, but they did it with how many threes did they beat? How many records
A
has
million. Yeah.
he alone broke on his own without any of his team accolades? I mean, this season is just an anomaly because they broke so many records and this is just another notch under their belt to throw at this season, which is, Curry also was a unanimous first time
And as MVP, yeah.
MVP. So all they have to do right now is just
But,
win the goddamn championship, and this would be the icing on the cake.
well, okay, but I kind of think though that you almost played into what I had said about the group thing. Like, I almost feel like because it's going to become public, and because you have all this, media attention around it, like now all these voters are just like, well, he's going to be the first unanimous MVP. Like, I don't want to be the one
No,
that prevents that,
I alluded to that. I said that I don't
Yeah.
know.
Well, that's what I'm
I
saying. I think you
I
went along
never
with that
right.
point.
I never really said that I think he deserved it, but I do think that the narrative of what the media has done has almost created an opportunity for him to be a unanimous decision. But if he is a true legitimate, like nobody wavered on that, I don't think that anybody has anything they could say, well, I got into a group thinking and I don't think he was warranted for that decision because everyone who voted for him has a legitimate claim as to why he could be an MVP. So,
Oh
you know,
no, absolutely. But I'm just saying I think there might be one or two people out there that said I have a really strong case for whoever, Kawhi Leonard. He finished second.
Right.
And, maybe they really wanted to vote for Kawhi Leonard, but they also felt like Curry deserved it, and they didn't want to be the one name that gets ostracized for how could you not vote for Curry. Especially now, even if they've been publicizing, the ballots for a long time, I have no idea. But now with social media, it's you will forever be known as the person that didn't vote for Steph Curry.
You know what? A lot of media people, especially also who do like the NBA, the MLB, Hall of Fame, etc., and everything like that. There's enough writers and media personnel who are fine with being the one standout asterisk to just put their name out there. I don't think that they are too concerned with being called out. You don't think they
succumb to peer pressure?
No, I think that most media personnel, if nothing else, it's just great PR, because now all of a sudden you're the one lone person who said no, and now you have a great article to write about why.
Unless everyone turns on you for being the one lone person. No, I know what you're saying.
No one takes your card away if you vote the wrong way.
I can see it either way. I'm not saying he didn't deserve it. I just feel like I would be curious if he still would have been unanimous if the ballots weren't public.
Right.
That's all I'm really saying here.
So we're kind of running a little short on time, and we have a lot more topics to kind of get to. I don't know how fast we're going to be able to get to some of those topics. So what else is on our list tonight that we might or may not get to?
We really only have 2 topics left, but I think that the second topic is going to really rile you up. So
okay.
It could be a big one. So let's move on to the Western Conference Finals. Warriors versus Thunder. Thunder took game 1 last night in Oracle. Huge win. Going into the series, 538 was projecting the Thunder to have a 20% chance to win the title, and the Warriors had a 55% chance to win the title. After the Thunder took game 1, the Thunder now have the best chance at winning the NBA title at 36%, and the Warriors' chance has fallen to 35%. So that was a huge win.
It was a huge win, and I think if there's games like last night and games like the regular season when they went into, was that 2 overtimes?
Just one.
Just one overtime.
One really dramatic one.
One dramatic overtime. And they take us to game 7. I think that it'll be a much better series than whatever finals is going to end up being, which will probably be against the Cavs.
This series should be the NBA finals, in my opinion.
It should be.
I'm picking Thunder in 6 because I think if it goes to 7, I think the Thunder will have an impossible task of trying to win a game 7 in Oracle. I felt that way about the Spurs series. I thought the Thunder would win in 6 because to beat one of these 2 elite teams on their home court is hard. The Thunder have done it. I'm not saying it's impossible, but in a game 7, holy heck.
I think the Thunder have a lot going for them, and they're a very dangerous team. I think they could easily go to a game 6 and win it all in a game 6. I think it all depends on Curry's health throughout the series. Mm-hmm. I think it depends on if they win game 2, as we pointed out that it's a must-win game 2. And I think that it will be, what the Warriors' game plan is. I'm sorry, the OKC's Thunder's game plan, which is to stay to what they've been doing that has got them to where they are right now, because they're athletic and long, and they are able to do a lot of havoc on teams like the Spurs and the Warriors with their defense. Yeah. So, outside of the last couple of seconds of the game, I think it was a really well fought game, and I hate seeing some blown calls by the refs to mess it up, but it was a really good game, and nonetheless, it'll be a great series, I think.
Okay, I'm going to put a pin in your blown calls comment because that's the topic we're coming back to. That's going to rile you all up. And I'm not one to talk about matchups and X's and O's, and it's not really my thing, but I think this series is so interesting from a matchup standpoint because the Warriors are so known for this small death ball lineup.
Yep.
And the Thunder, they, while they have Serge Ibaka and Kevin Durant to play the 4 and 5 in a small ball lineup, the Thunder are weak at the wings. They really are. Like, you're not going to put guys like Anthony Morrow and Kyle Singler in there against the Warriors. The Thunder's strength is their bigs. They have one of the best big man rotations in Serge Ibaka, Steven Adams, and Enes Kanter.